Well, I'm back. It's been a while, but I'm honored to be here amongst my peeps. June is the month when we traditionally observe LGBTQ Pride in this country. This Pride Month, we have seen several notable people come out. One of the most recent ones is Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib, who in essence became the first active, openly gay NFL player after coming out in an Instagram post this past Monday. Although his announcement has been well received overall, there are some people who are not as welcoming and affirming of his truth. I know that for most in LGBTQ communities, the initial coming out is but the first of 1,000 comings out. For celebrities, because of their high profiles and the public knowledge of them, they are likely to have fewer comings out in the future. For the rest, however, comings out may be a lifelong string of occurrences. I applaud this young man's bravery that has inspired many others to declare their truth and to come out as well. Today, I also feel that it is necessary for me to make a declaration. You may have seen me here on this chancel in past years. You may recall me walking down the hallways with my partner and our children. You may have even read my public response to Franklin Graham's slight toward LGBTQ communities. Since many of you have known me personally over the years, you may have thought that I've always been an out and proud member of the LGBTQ community. What you probably don't know is that although I may have alluded to or implied it, I have never directly disclosed my sexual identity in any of my public sermons until now. In fact, this will be the first time it will ever be recorded on video saying that, and consider it my official coming out sermon to all of my family, my mother's brothers and sisters, friends on Facebook and Instagram. I have something I need to tell you. I am gay. Thank you. Yes, I can say with confidence that I am a proud member of the LGBTQ plus community, and I trust all of you with this truth. This hasn't always been the case. My journey has been a constant tug of war between full or partial disclosures and at times full omissions and even hiding in silence. You can imagine the linguistic acrobatics that many folks like me must master to avoid detection. You may not understand what it feels like to have to come out 1,000 times. Do I tell this person? Do I tell that person? What will she think? What will he think? What if my doctor knew? When every coming out occasion has the potential to be a painful encounter. So every day, people like me must choose. When the countenance of your tax preparer quickly cools down when he asks you about your wife and you correct him with husband, and then he refuses to work on your taxes or to tell you why, you learn to hide. When you're treated with indifference and people refuse to provide services for no apparent reason, you learn to hide. When your doctor learns that your partner, and with a distorted expression on his face, says, "So you're homosexual?" And when you're shocked into the realization that even in your doctor's office, you're unsafe, you learn to hide. Throughout the years, I attempted to suppress my same-sex attraction. There was a war that raged inside of me. I hated myself. I did everything I could not to be gay. I practiced celibacy for nearly 11 years. I prayed, fasted, went to deliverance ministries to have the evil exorcised out. And I even joined a year-long reparative therapy program where the group was taught, quote unquote, proper masculinity through attending sporting events. Because you know, only straight people can play ball. I married a woman, I had a child, I became a minister, but I remained gay. And I felt this shame at the core of my being. At some point, I realized that I couldn't be one of those ministers who had similar struggles, but who lied to themselves and to the people around them. I knew many of them. Some of them were also married with children, but on the side, they participated in the very things that they preached against. It was do as I say, not as I do. I couldn't live in the shadows on the down low. I was raised in the black church, and when it comes to being gay, lesbian, or transgendered, the black church has been a don't ask, don't tell institution. People like me are their pastors, lead their choirs, and teach their Sunday schools, but many remain silent and hidden. I think I may have learned how to hide from the truth in the church. One has to mute their comings out because once it is known or becomes official, the black church will often shun you, and to some degree the black community as well. So my inclusion into one community very well may mean my exclusion in the other. You learn to hide when the most sacred of places that were once safe for you as a person of color refuse to accept your sexual identity. We hide because we know what it feels like to be rejected amongst the rejected, to be oppressed amongst the oppressed, to be a non-citizen among the non-citizens, to be disenfranchised even by those who themselves are disenfranchised and ostracized from the larger society. Yes, I know how it feels. My marriage to my then wife would ultimately fall apart as I realized that I could no longer be inauthentic, and she deserved so much more. I would eventually leave the ministry because I believed that there was no place for someone like me in the black church, someone who dared to embrace his sexuality. I thought that I could not serve the church and be gay. I have since discovered thriving black LGBTQ plus communities, including welcoming churches in the various places that I have lived since I left Tulsa. But I also see how many people there still hide from their families, coworkers, ministers, barbers, and doctors. They do it for safety and perhaps even for survival. There has been so much shame and guilt taught to us by the society. And so I became shame. I knew shame well. It is the same internalization of the negative connotations of blackness that so many people of color must contend with. The notion that the word or concept of, quote, black is akin to being dangerous, evil, sinful, distrustful. Black then becomes sin by its very nature. We know from scientific research that black people from their earliest years internalize these ideas and concepts. The Black Panthers use the phrases, black is beautiful, and say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Why would people need to say black is beautiful if the society didn't push the notion that it isn't? Likewise, being gay carries with it the connotations of being sinful, promiscuous, and for some, it is an abomination in the sight of God. We internalize all this hostility towards us from the outside world, only then to experience the same oppression within our own families and religious institutions. When society threatens us, beats us down, and curses us, we need foundations within our families, churches, and schools. But quite often, these places are equally unsafe for LGBTQ plus people. And many in our community have abandoned their religious traditions, left their churches, and have even walked or have been pushed away from their birth families. It is no wonder that suicide attempts among gay, lesbian youth are 3.7 times the rate of their heterosexual cisgendered counterparts, while transgender teens are 5.9 times more likely to attempt suicide. I tell you, it takes guts to be one of us, right? Every day, these folks take brave steps to honor their full humanity. I look at the bravery of every transgendered individual who has to go out into a hostile world daily, facing the microaggressions of misgendering, the whispers and the turned up noses, and sometimes even direct threats of violence to their personhood. And in spite of it all, they press on. I've witnessed how uncomfortable my own family members can become around the nature of my relationship with my husband. We don't always get invited to couples events within the family. Is it perhaps because they also experience a form of what I call secondary shame or shame by association? This could be the case, as I too can recall feeling embarrassed when I was out in public with one of my brothers who was also gay. But unlike me, he was unable to hide it. He was more effeminate and easily gave us away with his mannerisms. I once recall thinking that I didn't want anybody to perceive incorrectly that we were a couple or something like that. It pains me to think that I ever espoused such sentiments. Perhaps you know someone like this, someone who doesn't seem to fit in. Perhaps you too have felt shame by association. That brother of mine was murdered in 2005 because of his sexuality. And I would give just about anything to see him again, to hear his voice, to walk down the street with him, and to let others think whatever the hell they would. It is my prayer that I am now leading a life that he would be proud of. In just a few days, I will be 55 years old. And to think that I am just now taking the hinges off the revolving closet door. And it is still not an easy thing for me to do. And I blame you all for this road that I'm on. You did it all, souls. You helped to lay the foundation of my spirituality and my sexual identity. One day, some years ago, a minister in a movement also declaring their truths and questioning their spirituality was thrown out of Christendom. And after wandering in desert places, they found refuge within these sacred walls. I remember those days as if it were yesterday. I remember that during those days, Reverend Marlin approached me and my partner. He had heard that I had been in the ministry. I recall him looking at us and then asking, "Are you two partners?" We were taken aback because although we had been in the previous church for several years by then, it was the first time anyone had ever asked. "Hold on a second," he said. "Let me introduce you to my wife, Anitra." My partner and I couldn't be legally married at the time, but Marlon fully validated our relationship and did it with such grace. And then the words that followed changed my life completely. He said, "I heard you've been a Baptist minister. Would you consider joining the staff as a minister?" He probably didn't think much of his words so casually uttered, but in that moment, those words healed me. It seemed as if up until that point, I had been waiting to exhale. I don't know if he knows it to this day what those words meant to me. For the first time, he was telling me that I didn't have to hide. I could come out from the shadows, and at least in this place, I could be a minister who also happens to be gay. I was good in the eyes of God, my sexuality blessed by God, my ethnicity celebrated. It has taken me this many years to finally discard the shame. Black is not something I do. I am black as much as I reimagine and own the concept. Gay is not something I do. I am gay and proud of it. But I know that I'm only able to say that because of community. For me, I have discovered a sense of pride that has enabled me to love and accept myself, regardless of what people say about me. And at my age, with more years behind me than before me, why should I give a rat's tootie about what people think? And you know I really wanted to say the real word. If anyone has a problem with my blackness or my gayness or any other part of my identity, it is their problem. I already got plenty folk in my corner. Why should any of us be concerned about what people think? All right, give me a little blues. David, Pastor David. A little riff. Dun, 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 dun. Because they don't give me no warm and bubbly feels. And they don't bring me those black magic thrills. And they don't give me those cool and spiny chills. And they sure as hell don't pay any of my... Pastor Dave's over there shaking his head like, no, you wrong for that. We have pride because we have agency and we have collective power. And if someone doesn't want to serve us or bake me a cake or take my photos or prepare my taxes, they need only to tell me. I can take my fabulous black gay dollars and spend them where it matters. I'm gonna do it again. There's a gospel song that goes, there's always somebody talking about me, but really I don't mind. They try to block and stop my progress most of the time. The mean things they say don't make me feel bad, 'cause I can't miss a friend that I never had. I got Jesus, and that's enough. And I would like to add that I have community, and that's already plenty. I got you. Yes, I've always wondered what the concept of beloved community actually represented. I get it now. It's a type of community where one is affirmed, validated, and celebrated. It's a community of folks that are willing to fight you if you dare try to harm one of their own. I got more with me than you can see right now. I've recently heard and read some disparaging commentary about Pride Month and LGBTQ people in general. One white, male, conservative Christian commentator stated that gay people have nothing to be proud of and that by definition, all pride is sinful and detrimental. Talk to the hand. Marginalized people have been kept from experiencing all benefits of being full members of the society for so long that they have carved out purposeful meaning for themselves. If people were not constantly being reminded by the culture that they are less than ideal, there would be no need for Pride Month, Black History Month, or Indigenous People Day. And until there is full equality, we will continue to declare our truths. This is why we have and need community. It is in these beloved communities that we live, breathe, and have our being. It is here where we find strength, the affirmation, and the confidence to love out loud, to serve, and to declare that we matter. LGBTQ communities are resilient because they have to be. And we continue to resist any and all efforts to deny us not only our rights as citizens, but also the recognition of our full humanity. Today, I am proud of the life I live, and I've been strengthened through community. So for those who still do not understand what pride means or what it means to us, pride is about standing up for the rights that the Constitution affords us and fighting for the ones that are still denied. It's about raising our voices, honoring those who have gone before, acknowledging those still on the front lines, surviving the struggle, recognizing that the struggle continues, telling our own stories, owning our own fabulousness, defining our own identities, naming our own names, choosing our own families, walking in our own dignity, making no apologies for who we are, loving whom we love, accepting our whole selves, nurturing our relationships, having no shame about our intimacies, embracing the fluidity of our sexualities, believing in our own selves and our own abilities, testifying of our own spirituality, welcoming all of our genders, thriving in our own nonconformity, celebrating our diversity, proclaiming our belongingness, declaring our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, restoring our own hope, and reaffirming all of our humanity. This is who we are. To my brothers, sisters, and others, if you are currently in an unsafe place, be strong and persevere. Because I'm a living witness, it does get better. There are people and communities that will help you. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone who is out in the community and ask them for guidance and resources. We got you. Affirming the dignity and worth of every individual is a deeply held Unitarian Universalist value. And this church has been a very vocal supporter and strong ally of the LGBTQ movement for equality. You may not always know how your affirming words can change the trajectory of someone's life, but they can, and they do. I know that you are and will continue to be a place of refuge for those who have come out of closets of shame, marginalization, and oppression, just like you were this for me and my family. Whether you are gay or straight, trans, cisgendered, black, or white, there's something we all can be proud of and affirm daily. It is our shared humanity. And each of us is a diverse expression of it. The truth is, we are in this together. And we lift ourselves when we lift those who are most vulnerable. We rise and fall together. Every bit of LGBTQ pride is about community. And our allies are a vital part of it. Let's continue to celebrate and cherish our vibrant community together. May it be so.